Let's be real, the Wilmington housing market can be confusing. Rents are high, home prices are higher, and interest rates can feel like they're all over the place. So the question I hear constantly is it smarter to rent or to buy right now in Wilmington, North Carolina? Here's the twist, the math might surprise you. I'm Kevin Millard with eXp Realty, and if you're thinking about moving to the Wilmington area, you are in the right place. This channel is all about living in Wilmington NC, the neighborhoods, the lifestyle, and what it's really like to live on the coast. All right, let's get into the numbers. Where do things stand right now? As of late 2025, the median home price in Wilmington sits around $470,000. The average rent for a 3-bedroom home is around $2,200 to $2,600 a month. And interest rates, they're hanging in there, around 6.5% to 7% range. That means that renters are paying over $30,000 a year. That's money that you're never gonna see back. But homeowners, they're paying more up front, but a portion of every payment is going to build equity. And that's where the math really starts to surprise people. All right, let's do the math. Let's say you're renting a 3-bedroom in Wilmington for $2,400 a month. That's $28,000 a year. Now let's say you buy a home for $450,000 with 10% down. Your down payment obviously is $45,000. At 6 3/4, your principal and interest come to about $2,600 a month. Now we need to add $300 for taxes, $150 for insurance, and $100 for maintenance or an HOA. Total, you're looking around $3,200 a month. And at first glance, that's about $700 to $800 a month more than the rent price that we discussed. But here's what most people miss. You're building $500 to $600 a month in equity. You get tax deductions for mortgage interest, and your payment is fixed. So while rent keeps climbing 8 to 10% a year, your payments stay the same. So when you adjust for those factors, the true cost difference gets pretty razor thin. Over 5 years, that renter spends around $150,000 with $0 to show for it. But the buyer gains equity, stability, and a home that's likely appreciated in value. If you need help running your numbers, please contact me below. I'll be more than happy to help you get all these together and make some sense of what makes best sense for you. All right, let's go beyond the math for a second. Let's be honest, renting does have its perks. And to be completely fair, not everyone has the 10% for that down payment. $45,000 is a big chunk of change. Also, you want to think about things like surprise expenses. Maybe your HVAC goes out. That could easily be $10,000. Maybe you have some kind of crawl space work that needs to be done. Maybe you have a tree that falls or your roof has to be replaced. There's major expenses when it comes to owning a house. And while it may sound really glamorous and it may sound super simple at times, of course it's an ideal, but it's not for everybody. And there's some people that just need to rent, even if it's for a short time. So I want to be really careful because it does feel like a luxury whenever you talk about buying versus renting, but it's not an option that everybody has. So we want to be mindful that while it does make sense if you have the capital, the income, and let's say you were looking at maybe buying a new car or buying a house. Well, obviously you should maybe look at getting a cheaper car or keeping your car longer and then buying a house versus paying for rental payments. But I know that not everybody has that opportunity. And on the other hand, renting does have its perks. Let's be honest, there's no repairs, there's no property taxes, there's no maintenance, but buying can give you something that renting can't control. You can paint it, you can remodel it, you can plant a garden. It's really a good feeling to feel like you have a place that is yours. You can just know what your house is made of. And also you know that your payments, for the most part, are staying the same. Now, if you're planning to stay longer than 3 years, ownership usually comes out ahead. If you're looking at less than 3 years, you really got to drill down on your numbers. But from a financial and an emotional standpoint, ownership really is nice. I had a friend that had rented for his whole adult life, and then he decided to buy a place in his late 30s. And he said, Kevin, it's just so great to have a place that I own, that I can make improvements to, that when I put money into it, not only do I get to enjoy it, but I know that eventually I'll probably see it back plus some. And it's just a good feeling. You feel grounded, you feel at home, you feel like, hey, I'm a part of this community. By the way, if you're relocating from out of state, maybe Florida, New York, California, I've got a section in my relocation guide that compares renting versus buying in each of the major Wilmington neighborhood markets. You can download it below. And by the way, contact me anytime and I'll be more than happy to help you with your move. All right, let's talk about buying smart in 2025. Buying smart does not mean buying big. Here's what my clients are doing right now to really win in this market. Right now, people are really exploring up-and-coming areas. I'm talking about Leland, Castle Hayne, Burgaw, Curry, that's C-U-R-R-I-E, not Curry Beach, but Curry, Rocky Point, Hampstead. All those places still have opportunities under $400,000, and that can be a new build. So that's a big deal when you compare that to places like Wilmington. Now, many buyers are also using builder incentives. Now, a lot of builders are offering rate buy downs, or they'll offer $10,000 to $15,000 in closing credits. I had a buyer that was VA and they were doing a special, to help close out their fiscal year. And the builder was paying the rate down to like 3.99, which is absolutely unheard of these days. And that house, for whatever reason, it fell through. So he moved to another one. And even then, after this whole sell thing was gone, they were still buying it down to 4.99, which is just crazy to think about. And many times they will cover those closing costs. They'll give you like a $10,000 credit to help cover your closing costs. They might do like $500 down just to hold the lot or hold the house. Many times they'll throw in like blinds or maybe appliances, or they'll do like a $5,000 use as you choose kind of thing. And then you can use it towards like an upgrade or something in the house, whatever it is. A lot of great incentives. And I know a lot of the local area builders, and I have good contacts with them, and I'm happy to help you find those really good deals. Just make sure to contact me below. All right, another thing that buyers are really starting to do this year in 2025 is negotiating for seller credits. This was unheard of 3-4 years ago, At the time, you couldn't even get a contract on a house, but now we are actually talking to the sellers and saying, hey, can you help me out here? We're gonna give you asking, but we need $5,000 at closing, or we're gonna give you asking, but we need you to work with us on the time frame. Whatever it is, we're seeing that now because Wilmington's still hot. Everybody wants to be here, and people are willing to pay for that. But at the same time, the playing field is a little more equal, a little more fair right now when it comes to buyers and sellers working together and to help them work out exactly a good deal that works for both parties. Another thing that a lot of buyers are really thinking about is refinancing later. So remember, you marry the house, but you date the rate, as they say. So the rates, of course, are going to be different from lender to lender, and I am more than happy to help connect you with a good lender in our area that can give you a good rate. All right, so even if the payment feels high right now, you have to remember that you're still looking at long-term value. So that's something that renters can't do. Right now, you're locking it in. You're willing to maybe take one less vacation a year, or maybe let your car last another year or two longer so that you can afford that mortgage payment, but you know that eventually it's going to pay off. And that's where investors always win. All right, if you want to see the best new builds that are happening in Wilmington, I update them all the time, and I'm more than happy to help you with that. Just make sure to contact me below. All right, let's talk about when renting actually makes sense. Renting can make sense. If you are new to the area and you're still exploring Wilmington, you're not ready to commit, you're not sure how long you're gonna stay here, you're paying off debt, or you're saving for a down payment for a house, then renting is perfectly fine. This is not right or wrong, good or bad. This is just comparing the different things that come along with renting versus owning a house. Renting gives you the flexibility that you need without the long-term commitment. You're just considering Wilmington, you're maybe thinking about your next move. I'm thinking of like a young professional, maybe they're fresh out of college and they're still trying to get a good savings, and they don't know exactly where work's gonna take them. Yeah, you probably need to rent. You probably need to think, I don't know if I'm gonna be here in 5 years. I don't know if I'm gonna be here in 4 years. I don't know if I'm gonna be here next year, So that's where renting really makes sense. But once you begin to cross that 3-year mark, renting almost always costs more in the long run. And so you're going to lose out on the home appreciation, and you're going to start putting money in someone else's pocket instead of your own. All right, let's talk about real neighborhood comparisons. I'm going to give you some real world examples in Wilmington. If you're looking at Midtown Wilmington, rent for a 3-bedroom house might be $2,500 a month. Now, if you buy a house for $450, you're probably looking at $3,100 a month. Now, you're building $600 a month in equity, and your payment is going to stay fixed. If you're looking at Leland, your rent might be a little bit cheaper. Let's say $2,300 a month. You could buy a little bit cheaper, let's say $420, that's around $3,000 a month. And also you have cheaper property taxes, and you have builder incentives. And that would make that a very strong buy whenever you're looking at a 5 to 10 year plan. Hampstead, you're going to pay even less in rent, let's say $2,000. And maybe you could buy for even less, for $375. That's $2,650 a month. That's still a $650 difference, but it's going back in your pocket. It's still relatively affordable in Hampstead, and there's great schools and strong long-term appreciation, especially with the new military cutoff extension that they are finishing. That's going to bring so much traffic into that area. Over 5 years, the builders in each of those areas are typically going to gain, let's just say, $75,000 to $100,000 in combined equity and appreciation. That's crazy to think about. But I always say that real estate makes the most sense in hindsight. You know, it's always going to burn a little, and always going to feel like, man, are things really going for that much right now? Whenever you buy it. You know, of course you want to get a good deal. You want to feel good about it. You want to be on the same page with your spouse, partner, or whatever. But at the same time, you know, you're not making money the day you buy it usually. You know, you're making money once you sit on it, you're committed, you're in it for the long haul, and then you look back and you say, man, it really has increased in value. And we feel good about the investment that we made. Here's what you can't put on a spreadsheet, and that is the feeling of a home. When you buy your own space, you invest not just in property, but in your own peace of mind. You're a part of the neighborhood, and you're not just passing through. You get to say, this is mine. And that's the real return. It's one of the reasons that so many people are choosing to call Wilmington home. They want to put their roots here. If you're thinking about taking that step, you just want to explore what home ownership could look like in Wilmington, please download my free relocation guide. It'll give you a good general idea of the area. And also on our website, livinginwilmingtonnc.com, I have a map that we've created. It shows you different areas of town. You can click on an area and it'll tell you more about that area. And you can get a good idea of all the places. You know, I started to put that map together and I was like, man, Wilmington has really grown. You know, I've been here my whole life. And it's just crazy to think about all the communities, master plan communities, all these little towns that used to just be like a blip on the map are now becoming major hubs that people want to live. It's all on the website, so make sure to check it out below. All right, the bottom line, let's talk about renting versus buying in Wilmington. Which one wins? I'd love to hear your comments below. On paper, buying is going to cost more up front, and not everyone has that luxury. I understand that. And it's a goal that a lot of people have in mind. It's a dream that some people have in mind. But if it's attainable, and for a lot of people it is, even if you don't even realize it, it is. And so if you've even kind of thought about, I think it might be time to buy, just call me. I'll be more than happy to help you, kind of connect you with a loan officer, look at your debt to income ratio, look at your credit score, all that stuff, and they can tell you what you're pre-qualified for. And once we have that number, we can start looking at areas around Wilmington and say, okay, let's make this dream a reality. I would be more than happy to help you do that. Now, over time, buying is going to build with wealth. It's one of the best ways to build long-term and generational wealth is owning a home. Emotionally, it's going to build stability. You're going to feel less anxious. You're going to feel more like you have something that you own, that is yours, that you can come home to, that you can feel secure in. That is really, from an emotional standpoint, owning a home can be a really good thing. Now, in a coastal market that's still growing, home ownership isn't just a purchase. It's an investment in your lifestyle. I always say, live where you love. And you can't live where you love if you don't love where you live. And you gotta find a place that really fits your lifestyle and your goals and the dream that you have in mind for where you want to be. So I'm more than happy to help you do that. I love helping people do that. And it's one of my favorite things to do. If this has helped you through your next move, please hit that like and subscribe button. And make sure to download my free Wilmington relocation guide that has a lot of great information to get you familiar with the area. For today, I'm Kevin Millard with eXp Realty. Thank you for watching, and remember, love where you live, because where you live is going to shape how you live. I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.